Hi, this is Kerry Artak with Wicked Stocks bringing you the daily Tesla report for Monday, December 19th, 2022. Before I talk about this particular chart, please click like if you would each and every time you watch the daily Tesla report or the daily Apple report. Subscribe if you would to the Wicked Stocks YouTube channel. It'll provide you notification each and every time new content has been uploaded, which includes at least the daily Tesla and daily Apple report. And if you would share the content with friends and colleagues, that would be greatly appreciated. So this is a weekly bar chart of Tesla, and after a month and a half or so of testing and even piercing briefly this long-term band of channel support, the market closed decisively below it on Friday by the required 1% mark. And so the 164.46 to 172.57 is a wide band of long-term resistance that can contain buying not only through the balance of December, but even through January and into later Q1, and below which we are anticipating this new band, not a new band, but a separate band of channel support. It's a steeper band of channel support. It's not as significant as the preceding band that I just showed between 164.46 and 172.57, and it is considered, I'm going to say, a 3 to 5 week target. It could take longer. It could take less, but I think by the end of January is realistic into the 107.04 to 118.74 area, a band of channel support that is based on the highs earlier in the year, basically. You have to go back. I think this is a January high here. In any event, 107.04 to 118.74 likely by the end of January, and able to contain monthly selling pressures. And from here, we could rally back into the low 170s again, that band of channel resistance, longer term in scope, within a matter of perhaps 3 to 5 weeks, and then fall off again. I'm showing that this steeply descending channel structure is by late January in the 89.49 to 101.12 area. And that may, if it takes 3 to 5 weeks to reach it, that will be the zone. I will say on the way down, I just wanted to point out these points here. I believe this was July of 20. We had a significant pullback high of 119.66. 5 weeks later, we took it out, and then we had a September low of 109.66. That is in rough alignment to what we're seeing here. I wouldn't fall in love with these 2 points as an area to buy into aggressively on a longer term basis, but if you're a day trader, certainly, or a 3 to 5 day position trader, certainly. But it really is the 107.04 to 118.74 region that is our long-term target now. And last thing I'll say about this big picture analysis, and that is to say that as long as we're below this area here, investing in Tesla long term, I'm not a big fan of. I would rather buy on strength at this point in time. And so bottom picking as we were over the last month and a half in this zone, I'm not in terms of a longer term buy that could play out well into 23. No longer that dynamic, I think, exists realistically. I think I'm not trying to be overly bearish Tesla. I'm just saying that, these support levels that I'm identifying on the chart, they're very fast moving. And so what is it, 107 to 118.74 this week, as you can see, in just a few weeks, drops into the 90s. So, I would rather buy on strength right now if I'm a long-term investor in Tesla. And right now, I think the first sign of that would be a settlement this week back above 172.57. That would at the very least neutralize this meaningful sell signal that has played out. And in terms of buying, sort of in anticipation of an accelerated protracted rally, that would come at this point in time above 187.82. This is the daily chart. So I don't expect to see that anytime soon. I'm just kind of giving you what are the parameters, what are the points that, if settled above, should result in meaningful gains as we move into January, February, and right now that would be above 187.82.
Just so you know, a wickedstocks.com membership delivers regular daily video analysis in the SPY and Triple Q, weekly video analysis in the S&P 500 index, the NASDAQ 100 index, and a U.S. Treasury ETF, and 2 individual stock pick videos every week. Check out our other content by clicking the link below.
But merely closing back above 172.57 at the end of this week would go far in terms of neutralizing what I think is a bearish tempo that is likely to play out into January trade. So let's talk about the day itself. I've got 160.40 as a 2-week channel top that, if tested, can contain daily buying pressures, possibly into later week. Bearish tempo remains intact this week below 160.40, and for the next few days anyway. Now, preceding that, we've got 155.30, which is a soft intraday pivot point, below which 145.35 is likely today, above which 160.40. Last thing I'll say about this chart, if we close above 160.40, I see a short cover rally to at least that 172.57 long-term channel top within just a day or two. That could be it for the week, as we could fall off, but we might, if we close above 160.40, rally all the way up to the 187.82 channel top that I showed here and a moment ago. And that is a meaningful upward pivot point into January trade. So closing above 160.40, 172.57 likely within a day or two, potentially higher as we move into later week. But the bottom line on a week-by-week basis, once again, is still, if we close below this band of resistance, we remain heavy into January trade. Let's talk downside. That holding below 160.40 will keep 145.35 in reach today, and that is a long-term trend line that you can see here in part. This is the band of channel resistance, was support, now resistance in the 164, 173 handle. These are the daily chart versions. 145.35 is a long-term trend line off the February 22 low against the May 22 low earlier in the year. This area may well snag selling pressures for more than a day. That's why I have it as a 2-star support. But be careful. We are in the midst of a longer-term sell signal now below the 164.46 to 172.57 area. And if we close or even break 145.35, that could set off meaningful follow-through selling pressures on an intraday basis. 145.35, nonetheless, able to contain selling into midweek, and from here we can get a nice 2 to 3 day bounce. If we break 145.35, I do have this simple trend line off these lows on the daily chart at 136.56. That may be in reach today if we break 145.35 on an intraday basis. And then closing below 145.35, which I can also show here, closing today below this long-term trend line will keep the 127.66 descending channel bottom in reach over the following 3 to 5 days, possibly by Friday's close. It's dropping at a pretty good rate, and over the next full week of trade actually intersects with this long-term targeted zone that on the daily chart is 108.15 to 119.35. So what am I saying? That if we close below 105.35 over the next day or two, by the end of next week perhaps, we may actually reach this long-term targeted zone of support, 107.04 to 118.74, where we could bottom out, as I say, through January, and from there rally back into the low 170s again within a full month or so of activity. Obviously, this market shows continued weakness if we were to close below 107.04, but I'm really not going to go there right now. I will say, as I said earlier, that this is dropping at a pretty steep rate, and by the middle of the year of 23 actually coincides with the March 2020 COVID low. We closed below a long-term 5/8 Fibonacci last week. We closed below, by one measure, the neckline of a long-term head and shoulders formation, and we also closed below these long-term channel bottoms. And so that's why I'm saying, if you were looking to invest in Tesla, where do you buy it? I think you buy it on strength right now. A weekly settlement back above 172.57 is enough sign for me that we're likely to at least stabilize. And then last thing I'll say, once again, it would be a settlement above 187.82 and dropping daily that I think would result in a protracted longer-term buy signal that should play out through January trade. That is all I've got for Monday's Daily Tesla Report. Please click like and subscribe. I'll be back tomorrow with Tuesdays, and you have a great day.